We're almost at the end of the group stages for the Allied Odyssey. Before we get on to the final day, I want to look at round 4 and how the games went for these teams. Fun Plus Phoenix versus BBL Esports was the first game of the day, and between these two, you didn't expect all too much of a fight. BBL came into this tournament and they had moments, flashes where they looked good, but overall they haven't been able to deliver those map wins. Versus FBX, it should have been 2-0, and indeed it was, with FBX stepping up to new heights. Zipan in there showing his consistency on the Rays, 23 kills on the first map of Bind. And when we went over to Haven, what was a 13-7 scoreline on Bind became a 13-2 in a very dominant fashion. FBX closed this out, even showing Xiao's versatility with him taking out a Sage on this map. The round we're going to take a look at has some interesting plays in it from BBL. One thing that we haven't seen used too much at the competitive level is the Omen teleports, and when it's in a 2v2, we're going to come back to that and look over towards the A side. But for now, we're going to look at FBX's start. They've given up all control over towards the B side. Nothing in hookah, like not even a bit of fake presence there. Instead, they're focused into Bath with 4 players. Now, BBL have gotten a little bit aggressive here, and it's obviously just hoping that a player will push into them and give them the opening pick to allow the rush. Eventually, Omen goes back towards the B site, causes a little bit of a fake, and then moves in to help them out on that mid take. Smoke out for Heaven, that's to stop an operator peeking them. Great flash, which pushes CNED back, but I'm surprised that he didn't dash out of there. That was something we were bringing up in the moment, that it really felt like, CNED stared at the flash, then he just refused to dash out and took the bullets. It was an interesting one. Now, Lego tries to pull this back as best he can. At this point, it's in a 2v2, and both players TP over to the B site. But I want you to keep an eye on what Lego does. This is honestly tragic. Kiro gets spotted. If he didn't just get revealed there, if he stayed passive, this play might have worked out massively, because Lego went through the TP, went back with his own teleport, and then went through again, so they heard 2 players teleport. They would have thought that both were coming from there, but Kiro gave away the play by running into that recon, and that is just heartbreaking for it to go that way. I think a little bit of miscommunication perhaps between the two on what the strategy was. Lego had that big brain idea because both will be probably looking at hookah at that point, and then you could have seen Kiro come up behind on a sick flank. It was a really good play, and thinking on your feet is important like that, but you do need to have the communication so both players know how they can best help that strategy work. The next game of the day was G2 Esports taking on Vodafone Giants in what could have been a very one-sided game. But Vodafone Giants came into Ascent and took it 13-9, winning out the first map against the #1 rated team in the world. They then went on to Haven, where things didn't look a whole lot worse for them. In fact, they took G2 to multiple overtimes, finishing out 18-16. That is unbelievable. For a team that came into this tournament unrated, they had 0 rate, they weren't even in the top 100 teams, and they managed to almost, within 1 kill at one point, away from taking a series 2-0 over G2, and joining a list of 1 team that's done that. That's absolutely unbelievable, and Vodafone Giants have got so much to be proud of. We mention it all the time on the desk. John Basova's been the best we've ever seen. Fatino so consistent on the operator. Yuri as well delivers performance after performance on the Sage. I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys have got for us in the future, because right now, this team is a joy to watch, and they've barely got any time together. The start of this round was wild from G2. They get Mixwell in a position without using his updrafts, where he can be boosted up by the wall, and then double updraft to a nice bit of height, and spray away those knives at Xers. From there, they're droning up middle, and Artis is going to see that it's completely clear. You see Fatino outside of B start to push up, and he'll be caught by a cage, causing him to rotate back and cancel that flank. The placement of that cage, even though it was going to be an A rush, is very important. Now Artis starts to push towards the bottom of mid and all the way into the defender spawn. Although David P gets caught in the back by Fatino, Artis is then ready to take him down and find that trade. At this point, Vodafone Giants think they can get back in, but as soon as Fatino dies, they're stuck. If they go backwards and try to fight him, they'll lose time. But if they try to push into the site, that flank from Artis is so crucial. You can see they slow it down, looking for him around every corner, but they can't find him. And eventually they decide to go for a save, being cautious, as you see from the markers, that he's probably towards mid-market side. Unfortunately, they find out the hard way that he's not, as a quick double closes out the round. And Artis' positioning on the lurk towards B was absolutely perfect, but it also shows how important it can be to get that Cypher utility down at the very start of the round so that you can make those faster plays and still have map control on the other side. Team Liquid taking on NIP was the final game of the day. We were hoping for NIP's sake they could at least pull a tie out of this one because they needed that, considering where they are right now. Vodafone Giants are in a position where realistically they can get into groups above NIP and eliminate the Giants, the ninjas in pajamas from this tournament. Coming into Haven, we saw Looker start out well, 27 kills, they lost 13 to 10, it was heartbreaking, but Hip just couldn't find his rhythm when it came down to the Reyna. Then on the next map, he swapped over to Raze and found a little bit more success, but really the only player delivering consistently was Rhyme on that second map. 26 kills and they only got 8 rounds in total. That's gotta be heartbreaking, and we saw him with so many clutches. It was amazing because we'd only just mentioned how this tournament he'd been very quiet, and he just delivered like that. It sounded like he was listening to us. For Liquid though, this is the best team when it comes down to tactics within Valorant right now. At least within Europe, but I'd be confident saying within the world. These guys have been on it from day one. All they've been missing is the success in the tournaments, beating G2. They've never been able to do it, and yet this could be it. Already in the group stages, Liquid are looking better and placing above G2 now. Liquid were constantly seizing control away from NIP on the defensive side. The aggression, but it's always so well thought through, constantly caught NIP off guard. In this round, they try to slow that down. The cage outside of Bath and the early camera to gain the information and hopefully just slow the play so that Liquid couldn't get aggressive early on. You had the smoke go down on B long, getting the Omen into a good position to potentially cause some damage in a minute. The problem for NIP is that they end up walking right into everything that Liquid wanted them to. The smoke comes out from Kree, he throws a paranoia towards Elbow, but this teleport, this is gonna absolutely ruin him. Right on top of one of the tripwires. He gets hit by it, immediately spammed by Cryptics, and all the while Solkis was pushing up Bath. He decides to continue going. Hell, he's made enough control out of it and thought maybe he could flank B. Instead, he runs into Rhyme, takes the kill, and very smart here, immediately falls back. Now we see the problem with playing against a good Sage. Scream double slows, and then afterwards, he waits, wall goes up. NIP now are locked out. The rotate starts from Omen on Liquid all the way around as Eccles joins the B site. If they start breaking the wall, NIP give away that they're going to go A, because they'd have 2 or 3 players there with 30 seconds left. They'd run into a stack and a bunch of players ready for them, and that wouldn't be too good. The other alternative was to rotate to B, but they obviously know at that point Liquid will have reinforced that site with the wall down. So they either run into a 3v3 fight and try to win with the reinforcements coming in afterwards, or give away their positions on A and hit into a full stack anyways. The decision is to save. And it's so rare that you see a team in Valorant, especially when they still have an ultimate in play, just going in for that save 3v5 when they lost 2 players early on. But again, it's the lack of map control that they had. They never had any information or more than one position that they could actually make a play on. Liquid constantly put pressure on NIP, and that's why you saw such a one-sided defensive side.